Israel wants for Golani to stay in power, but exclusively in what they see Sunni dominated areas. And this means from the borders with Turkey, we're talking about Aleppo, Idlib, Hama, Homs, Damascus. But beyond that, Israel doesn't want for Golani to rule over certain areas, not out of love for the minority communities, but because they want to expand inside Syria. They want to have more leverage inside Syria. And that's why when Golani attacked against the Druze in Uswayda, Israel intervened and bombed some of the convoys of Golani, presenting itself as a savior for the Druze community or minority in the country. And this has reflected on the Druze community. Now we see Israeli flags in Uswayda. People say 4,000 of our people were massacred in few days. Our women were raped. When the Golani regime came, they asked us, are you a Muslim or are you not a Muslim? And they started executing us in the streets. We have no one protecting us. And when Israel comes, we will accept anything because at gunpoint, people prefer survival.
Right.
But the trap here is Israel helped Golani come to power. Israel made Golani's ascendance to power possible in the past decade. Israel attacked Golani forces 0 times. And when they occupied the border crossing between Syria and the Golan Heights, which is now in the hands of Israel, the Golani forces between 2014 and 2015, and when the Syrian army started shooting on the Golani forces, when they get injured, they go to Israel and receive medical treatment inside Israeli field hospitals, their leadership got cash from Israel and ammunition and weapons. So Israel helped the Golani forces in the past and also helped it indirectly through attacking the former Syrian army over 2,000 times. Imagine you have a conflict in a country. Israel is bombing 2,000 times the parties that are fighting against these terrorists.
Yeah.
So what Israel is basically doing is diminishing the strength of the parties fighting against Golani, right? And now that Golani comes to power, they say, he's a terrorist, he's this and that. They're so dishonest about this that they helped him come to power.
Well, they're still helping him. I mean, they're still helping him. Trump has even said during these meetings that, I've been dropping sanctions on Syria at the request of Israel. Israel's the one that's been wanting Syria to be embraced by the U.S., to be embraced by the IMF, to do all. I mean, so Israel's still helping him.
In July last year, when Netanyahu visited the U.S. for the 1,000th times last year, Trump said this also directly to his face. He said, we lifted the sanctions on the request of regional countries, including Israel and Turkey. And Bibi Netanyahu was sitting there and he didn't say, no, this is incorrect. We didn't ask or we didn't request these things. And he didn't follow up on it, let's say, after he returned to Israel. He didn't deny these allegations. Yeah. Bibi Netanyahu also took credit of ousting Assad. He said, by assassinating Nasrallah, this had a big impact on Syria because Hezbollah used to also support Syria during the peak of the conflict in the country. So, and in addition to that, when Iranians tried to bring a squadron from Iran to support Assad during this last Golani offensive, Israeli fighter jets flew to Iraq and they blocked the Iranian Air Force from supporting Assad. So Israel played a direct role in bringing Golani, in my opinion, into power. And now all this fake outrage about Golani by people like Laura Loomer and others who say, oh, he's an ISIS, he's a terrorist, he's this and that. She's correct. She's correct. He is a terrorist. But let's talk about how Golani became the leader of Syria and who helped him and supported him all this during this time. And by ousting Assad, of course, the strongest force will replace him. And on the ground, the strongest force was Golani. And it turned out that the Israelis see Golani as very beneficial because his army are very radicalized, let's say, al-Qaeda mindset. And once you have a the state governed by al-Qaeda mindset, all the other ethnicities, religions, sects will say, we cannot coexist with such a mentality. So everybody goes into their cantons. Everybody starts thinking narrow. So you destroy the national identity of Syria. So nowadays, nobody in Syria identifies himself or herself as a Syrian. And we had this for 53 years under the Baas Party, the Pan-Arabist country. You're Syrian. Yes, I'm Syrian and I'm Armenian. I'm ethnic Armenian, but I'm Syrian. I am Shia, but I'm Syrian. I'm an Alawi, but I'm Syrian. I'm Sunni, but I'm... Nowadays, everybody identifies himself or herself in the sub-identity, these mini-identities. And this creates vertical rifts in the country and helps in the Balcanization. Because people think, because when we say the end goal is Balcanization of Syria, people think that this is just going to be like Yugoslavia, everybody is divided, like borders are divided. No, the Balcanization is here. Like if I am, let's say, Christian, and I believe, let's say, that the Muslims are the worst in the world and I cannot coexist with them, I already Balkanized myself. I isolated myself from the rest, right? And this is what they have done in the country. Everybody goes into their cantons nowadays.
So it's like a divide and conquer. What do you think Israel's main goal is? What do they envision for the future for Syria?
They envision a decentralized Syria, under which every ethnicity, sect has its own regions. So they could have this opportunity, as you mentioned, divide and conquer. But they have a more strategic vision for Syria. What they really aspire is the Golan Heights is gone. They will not give that back. And they have also occupied the highest hill in Syria after ousting Assad. It's called Mount Hermon. And whoever controls Mount Hermon, they control Damascus. Militarily, Damascus is fallen in the hands of the Israelis, because Mount Hermon, you can shoot on Damascus now from Mount Hermon with a howitzer. It's 20 kilometers. It's nothing. It's the highest hill in the region. So the Israelis, by occupying that, they already have a military superiority over Damascus. But what they want to do is, this is what they're discussing with the Americans, that they want to open what they call humanitarian corridor between the Golan Heights all the way to the governorate of Sweda, where the Druze community live. So they want to open this corridor so they have an access between the Golan Heights into that region and accordingly leverage over that region. And from Sweda, they want to open another corridor to the eastern shore and bank of the Euphrates, where the Kurds live. So this is, if you put the Greater Israel map in front of you, maybe they cannot achieve the Greater Israel project like the way it is practically, but they could have spheres of influence inside Syria that could help them in the future achieve the Greater Israel project. And unfortunately, this is something very important. The narratives changed in Syria. Like before the regime change, people who stood with Assad, they were unquestionably doubtful, let's say, the least to say, of Israel. They all saw Israel as a destabilizing force. Now they have a different enemy, and that is Golani. And once Golani comes closer to their communities, they go closer to Israel, because the only regional power in the region waging or pretending to care about the minorities is Israel. But this is, again, a psychological warfare that they have played very carefully. And I said this on my stream. I said, Israelis are mastermind in planning. Do not underestimate the Israelis. Do not underestimate their psychological operations. Do not underestimate their spying techniques. I mean, if the former head of Mossad, his name is Yossi Cohen, brags on a podcast and says, we compromised electronics all over the world, which means putting explosives inside our smartphones, like pagers or spying equipment. I'm terrified, to be honest with you. And I think nobody should make fun of what they are capable of doing, because they have the imagination and they are executing their vision in the region.
Yeah. So it sounds like what they did when it comes to these communities in Syria that they're now bringing under their wing and saying, see, we're the heroes,
Mhm.
is they basically, it would be like as if someone hired someone to come into my house, rob me, beat me up, all these terrible things. They paid this person to come in and do this. They hired them. And then they rush in and pretend like they're my hero. And then that way I could say, wow, you are the one who saved me. I'm forever indebted
Mhm.
to you. I'm forever I'd rather live under your protection. Go ahead and take this area that we're living on. We want to be Israeli, right? I mean,
Mhm.
we want to be with you. I mean, it sounds like that's their plan, and it is a smart plan to
Yeah.
basically, yeah, just rush in and act like we're the hero, but in actuality, we were the ones who hired the guy to come in and harm you.
Yeah, it's like create a problem and offer a solution to the
Yeah,
people. You
right.
hold both cards in your hands. And
Yeah,
I know this for a fact that after the regime change in Syria, Israel hired many influencers on social media platforms to push this narrative. And they pay people a fraction of the money compared to what they pay to American influencers, right? Like this is not the
yeah,
7,000 club. They pay them fraction of the money compared to that. But many people were approached by Israelis. Those are Syrians, including
mm,
myself. And I said this on Clayton's show yesterday. They pretend, or this person pretends to be just a private person, Israeli private person. And he says, I'm a very rich person. I would like to support your work. You could become very influential. We can boost your content, this and that. The only thing they would like you to do is because I'm Syrian Christian of Armenian descent and very influential among Syrian, let's say, minority groups. So they would like to use my platform, in my opinion, to promote that idea. And I'm not playing their games. I'm not falling into that. And I know that what Israel has done in the past, I'm not going to stand in the way of the people who are drowning in the water and somebody is telling them I'm going to save you. But I am not going to play that game.
yeah,
Because I said to the people for a long time, guys, if the regime is gone, the country will be Balkanized. So now that Israel would like to continue the Balkanization of Syria, I'm not going to play any role in that. And especially
yeah,
that after what we saw in Gaza, how can anybody trust the genuinity, let's say, or the honesty of any Israeli PR firm or Israeli government linked outlets, let's say, after what we saw of daily barbarity? Like, uh, i don't I don't think any person with humanity should accept such offers, period.
yeah,
I think the Israelis should really um, first put a mirror in front of them and see what they did in the past 2 years, how they horrified the world. Don't look into the media. If you ask any ordinary citizen anywhere around the world, everybody was horrified by what happened. and
yeah,
and what they have normalized is um, basically killing civilians on a mass scale, televised on our smartphones. That's a new level, of
yeah,
warfare that we haven't seen in the past decades after World War II. And once you normalize such warfares, it will be repeated. That's why I say there has to be serious talk, debate inside Israel, a reform inside Israel, ideological reform, educational reform, because they keep talking about de-radicalizing the Palestinians. Excuse me? It's like your officials on TV saying that those are Amaleks and we will eliminate them, and there is no innocent people in Gaza. We will nuke them. We will do this and that. No, you have to really do some self-reflection first and understand how we feel about you after normalizing this type of killing in the past few years. And after that, when there is a new mentality and that is not based on this really radical Zionism, whatever that region is named, whether it's Palestine, whether it is Israel, whether it is Nowherestan, it doesn't matter. What matters is the type of governance there. If there is a government in Israel, let's say, because they are going to occupy or planning on occupying all Palestine, if there is a different type of governance which gives the Palestinians equal rights, everybody is equal, right? That's the end goal that I envision, that everybody is equal in front of the law in,
yeah,
in 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 Palestine. And if that happens, Israel already crumbled, because the idea of Israel of discriminating against other people, that's the driving force behind this ideology of Zionism. And I think we really have to have a serious talk about that.
Kevork, thank you so much for being here and giving us your insight into this. It has just been jaw-dropping to see Golani at the White House meeting with all of the, I mean, this guy killed Americans. I mean, it's just the most jaw-dropping, mind-blowing turn of events that we spent as Americans decades in the war on terror and trillions of dollars in American lives marching into Iraq and Afghanistan saying that we were going to defeat al-Qaeda. I mean, and that's what they told us over and over and over again. We are going to defeat al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda was, for the longest time, enemy number one. Al-Qaeda is who did 9/11. Al-Qaeda was our enemy. Al-Qaeda this, Al-Qaeda that. And now we have the literal leader of Al-Qaeda now shaking hands, sitting in the White House, shaking hands with Americans as they smile, a guy who actually killed Americans. I mean, he had threats, he'd sent threats against America. I mean, this guy, and yet, at the same time, you've got our administration sitting there saying, well, we have to stop Iran because Iran says death to America. I mean, Iran chants death to America, and they're a bunch of Islamist jihadists, and they're literally shaking hand with an Islamist jihadist who chanted death to America, but did more than just said death to America. He actually killed Americans. You can't, Iran has not killed any Americans. This guy's killed Americans, and he's sitting there. I mean, it's just the most mind-blowing thing.
And Iran is the antidote of al-Qaeda, by the way. Like they invested a lot in the past 15 years to fight against al-Qaeda in Syria and ISIS, Hezbollah as well. But those are the enemies of Israel and the United States. So the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and they are supporting this type of course. But imagine you were an American soldier and you went to Afghanistan to fight against al-Qaeda, and now your president shaking hands with the leader of al-Qaeda.
The guy who killed your buddy. I mean, that's what we're saying. The guy who killed your buddy on the battlefield is now shaking hands with the US president and sitting in the White House. And all the Americans, all of us, after 9/11, when we were told al-Qaeda this, al-Qaeda is the number one enemy, we're going over there to defeat al-Qaeda, and now we've literally handed an entire country to al-Qaeda as their reward for being good soldiers, apparently. It's just really mind-blowing, totally mind-blowing. But it's good to get your perspective on this. I wanted to kind of see, exactly what was going on in Syria, what the goal was of what they originally tried to sell people, because here we are today, why there are women and people returning, and also the goal of Israel. What is it that they're trying to accomplish in this? And I think you answered those questions really well. So I really appreciate it. Thank you for watching this clip from the full Kim Iversen Show, which you can catch Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern at KimIversenShow.com. It is free for you to watch. Again, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, KimIversenShow.com. See you there.